Hello everyone, welcome to your daily reading. This one's for Sunday, April 6th, 2024. We're headed towards a full moon this week, coming in on Saturday night on the 12th. So if anybody's a little moody this week, we just have to cut them some slack. Oh, goodness. Okay, what is it that we need to know for today? What is the most important thing to know? There we go. Ooh, Six of Wands in the morning. Well, that's perfect. Knight of Pentacles, midday, and then the Ten of Swords at night. Okay, well, you know, I have a feeling when we have the theme for the day being the Knight of Pentacles, I mean, this guy in the artwork here, it's like he's done so much work, he's even given the horse a break and he's walking. It's a great card, though, for getting really grounded, being really grounded. Doing physical activity is one of the best ways to ground. And with the morning, I kind of wonder if the Six of Wands in the morning it has to do with, besides patting yourself on the back for your accomplishments, whether they were done yesterday, over the weekend, or last week, or whatever, or maybe the accomplishments of an entire lifetime of walking Earth and, upon the earth and carrying forward as best you can every single day, that maybe by the evening time you're done with any self-betrayal, you're done with any feeling defeated, you're done maybe even with feeling like, crisis is a bad thing to go through, because crisis a lot of times just brings us more into the clarity as to what's the most important things in life, what are the most important things in life. Now, it could also be that, because I didn't allow for reversals, but let's say the Knight of Pentacles was reversed. That would bring in the meaning of somebody who was lazy, or maybe it's us feeling stuck or bored, and then maybe by the evening you realize, you know what, I'm not doing that anymore. Or maybe we could liken this card to hold on, let me grab the other deck. The regular old Ten of Swords, because that could be acupuncture, having some acupuncture in the evening. Why not? Right? And it would definitely get those meridians cleared out and the energy moving. So that may be true for someone out there. But, most of all, with the Six of Wands, it doesn't matter if you are famous or, whatever, just getting a lot of attention. If you don't pat yourself on the back for just your daily earthly accomplishments, all the fame in the world doesn't matter. And then sometimes people, they get attention when they don't mean to, when they're not trying to, and then that's a lot to handle. And if that's the case, that would make sense why we would have the Ten of Swords, because there could be the fear of betrayal. You know how, like, people can put you on a pedestal, and it's like, hey, I'm only human. I have my moods. Don't put me on a pedestal, because they'll usually knock you off later on, right? So it could be something like that, and it could also be, because again, I didn't allow for reversals. It could be that we're afraid of being seen and recognized, and that is something that could make a person be a little lazy and get bored with life, because you're not you're not living on that well, I don't say it needs to be an edge, but you're not riding that edge of being in your leadership. and putting yourself out there in any way that is suitable for you. And that may just be, not just, but it may be only with your family and your friends, Say what you want to say. And as long as we're gentle with each other, we don't have to worry about it. But if there's a fear of betrayal and loss, that would make sense there. So that may be an issue for someone. Now, if we would have gotten the Ten of Swords coming through reversed, that could be just that fear of failure. Or recovery could be, acupuncture with the needles on the, front side. Nothing wrong with that either. However they need to be, it's where they go. And I think a lot of times they do front and back. So yeah. But it's usually a card, no matter what, upright or reversed, it's always about something's ending. There can be regeneration, there can be recovery, but we have to go through the ending first. So I'm not sure what this will be for you guys. You're going to have to drop it in the comments later and let me know how it worked out for you. And if, as always, every day, if the cards don't apply to you, just take it as a lesson in the meanings. Okay, now the astrology is where, for sure, there's more accuracy because it's for everybody. So we have with the moon newly into Leo. This is 5 a.m. Pacific. April 6th, of course, Sunday. We have the moon's exactly opposing, well, within minutes of opposing Pluto. So I have a feeling this is powerful confrontations with people in power, because the women, what am I saying? The people, all the people stood up. I see the moon and I think female a lot of times, but, in mundane astrology, the moon represents the public. So this is the public who definitely gathered in the masses and went out and protested. So many protests on April 5th. So that sent quite a message, and now there's confrontation in the government. And we even have the mystic rectangle going on back here, and which also includes the two oppositions. So the one opposition coming from Neptune and newly into Aries, again, this is where I titled it Peaceful Spiritual Warriors. And they have the facts from the past. They know exactly where they want to go. They're grounded, they're strong, and they are in full bloom. And we don't mess with that beauty. They keep coming out. And everybody go to Lori's channel at The Way of Positive Change, and wherever you want to comment, either in a post or I think she probably posted it, but she emailed or texted me some photos just a little while ago because I'm doing this reading on Saturday. She protested. She had some time and she went. So proud of her. But anyway, anyone who's gone and protested any way that they could, even if it was just making signs, my heart and appreciation, all of my soul goes out to you. And so politically, we're looking at this disruption to plans with Neptune sesquisquare Pluto. So remember, every time I'm pointing at Pluto here, on one level, it's the journey of the soul. In Aquarius, it's the journey of the soul for humanity. It's the spiritual law of brotherhood and sisterhood and networking together. The power, Pluto power of networking together. And then that heartfelt generosity with the moon in Leo over here that says, yeah, because it's courage, right? Leo's all about courage. Just think of the strength card in tarot. And then with the sesquisquadrate here, or sesquisquare, whichever you want to call it, both the same, 135-degree aspect to Jupiter. Jupiter in the second decan of Gemini, which is some level, firk around and find out for some people in positions of power, they're going to learn this lesson. That is all of us who need to teach them, remind them that they work for us. We pay their taxes. And if things, are terrible for too long, I'm pretty sure people will stop paying taxes. They can't lock us all up, right? So that's the thing. When there are mass protests, they need to pay attention to that, because if things go sideways and get really bad, well, yeah, I guess that could happen. But the way autocratic dictators work is they try first with the most vulnerable, and they try to see what they can get away with. And it's sad. It's so sad. It's so absolutely sad that they're doing that when it comes to immigrants, people who have legally immigrated here, and they're doing it without due process. So this is another part of what the protests are about. But with the two sextiles down here from Mars, so Mars in Cancer, Mars really gets people fired up in Cancer to protect, right? And so there's so much going on. We have Mars in Cancer sextiling the south node of the past, and Uranus in Taurus, which is wanting safety and security and is holding strong, stubbornly, in a good way. We've got tenacity here and tenacity here, and nobody's given up because people need to wake up. And here we are with the point being at Mars in Cancer. And the moon having crossed, we've done enough. Well, we've got the first big lunation since the eclipse. But I still feel that whatever the energy was that the eclipse carries out through the next 6 months, and of course it's been the power of people coming together. So the moon has now kind of initiated Mars and is opposing Pluto. So it is a powerful opposition to Pluto. By the 12th, the moon will be up here like at 12 degrees or so. 23 degrees. So by the 12th, the sun will be at 23 degrees, exactly conjunct Chiron, and the full moon over here in Libra, will be really shining a spotlight from the people onto Chiron and Eris. I'll talk more about that as we get closer every day, but I can see this energy. The energy's confronting people in power, and so politicians, and it's also energizing the Democrats that are working hard for us. I mean, they've had, I don't know exactly what happened yet, but they had a vote-a-thon last night. They intended to go on all night and bring tons and tons of votes to the floor about all different topics. So I hope at some point they do that. What's it called? A vote of no confidence, and get rid of little, as Lori calls him, elf on the shelf, Mikey Johnson, because he could be taken out with a vote of no confidence. So there's all of this, and it's all energized by the tariffs. So now let's focus in on that for a moment, because Mercury I can't separate out, nor the North Node, because they're too tight in orb. 25 degrees, 26, 27, even Neptune and Aries, even though it's another sign, all of this right here is really, really important. Ceres is 10 degrees away, but it's still there. There's still an influence. Actually, it's almost 16 there, so 9 degrees. But anywho, the point here with Venus and Saturn, here we are with the tariffs. Venus is our tariffs. Venus and Saturn together are tariffs that victimize in Pisces. And they also victimize, Trump is victimizing himself. This is him with his energy that's all over the place. This is the negative side of Pisces. And this is all, I think, lining up in his, isn't it in his 8th house? Pretty sure. I don't know. I'm not going to bust out his chart. The important thing is that when you don't take self-responsibility for the life that you're creating and for the choices that you make, and when you're in a position of power, your choices really, really carry consequences. But he won't do that. He won't take self-responsibility. He will blame something else outside of himself, and so he stays in that whole victim prosecutor, vicious circle, and good luck with that, dude. So you can see, look at all these connections here. I mean, all of these. Okay, so first of all, this conglomerate over here, this big old Pisces pile up, and then, Neptune is the ruler of Pisces, so it's important that it's in Aries now, but we will have a little bit of a retrograde back to Pisces. So for now, I'm just going to try and kind of include the whole thing together. But the most important thing is to remember that when we have a stellium, when you have any conjunction, it can just be 2 planets. The stellium is 3 or more planets together. But even if you only have 2, each of the planets' power is increased because of the conjunction. It's kind of like, the teamwork. A team together each achieves more. So this is communication, Mercury, communication with the masses. Neptune is the planet of the masses and mass consciousness. The North Node, the dragon's head, and the path that we're all on is to come together as a big whole of humanity that includes everyone. We don't exclude each other just because, I don't know, we have green eyes or red hair or darker skin or skin that's lily white or what, we don't exclude. We compassionately hold together. And we're teaching with Jupiter down here in Gemini, and as well as Ceres will do that as well, but we're teaching government, Saturn being the ruler of government, and Saturn teaches by by just being that wall that won't move. So we've got the power of the people coming together, especially in unity, right? Venus here is personal love, the power of human love coming together. Neptune is the power of the sacred source of spiritual love, where we're all one. It's unconditional love that is sourced in unity consciousness. Saturn is, duality, Earth school lessons, but all of this, so the power to come together and love each other and speak up and move forward for each other, the peaceful spiritual warriors that we are. However we move however we can, we move forward together. And then we're up here teaching the government, and all of that power is connected to Mars and Cancer. See all these 25 degrees, 26, 27? That's a really tight orb. In fact, if I go to just the tight aspects, exactly by the minutes, it's Saturn and Venus that are the tightest. And that is particularly Trump's trade war, the tariffs. Venus rules money. Saturn is him in the government, firking around, and he's going to find out. I wouldn't be surprised if he turns it around and backs down. I really wouldn't. So also, the square from Eris over to Mars is very tight. So that is a tension field where there are decisions. Again, with Eris, the power of women speaking up. And, we're going to throw some tomatoes if we can. And they're going to be to protect our families and ourselves and get back to all things that are sacred. Because, Mars is, you don't mess around. So this could even be, because Mars rules some military. There could even be a lot of military people that are like, wait, dude, what are you doing? Especially military officers. So he's really, he's messing around in a way that is not going to be productive for him at all. And people more and more, larger and larger amounts of people are speaking up. And Mercury, we'll talk about this tomorrow. But, Mercury's going backwards to connect with Venus even tighter. And we'll go direct tomorrow. Mercury will station direct tomorrow. So it's only going to go back to 49 degrees, actually. That's as tight as it's going to get. But Venus will... Well, when does Venus stop? She goes direct on April 12th. Yeah. On April 12th. So that's the same day that we have the full moon. That's going to be quite a... Yeah, Saturday night, it's going to be quite interesting. All week, actually. But anyway, so Mercury retrograde, we have the station direct tomorrow. I'll talk more about that then, but we don't get out of the retrograde until the end of the month. So this month is just going to be really hot, is the thing. Really hot, but it's a good hot. Because it's coming from us. Okay, well, that's it. Take good care, you guys. Have a wonderful day. Bye.